Chapter 14, Enclosure. Journal entry, time and date, unknown. Location, unknown. Hours went by. Days for all I knew. I didn't know what properties govern this realm. Maybe time ceased to exist entirely here. Going by my gut feeling, which was one faculty I still possessed, it seemed to me like it had been several hours at least. I had no way of knowing just how long they intended to keep me in here. Escape, as impossible as that seemed, was the only thing I wanted to waste my energy on. What else was there? I couldn't see anything except for the strange, luminescent walls which surrounded me. They were kind of like a subdued aurora borealis, although oddly they produced no ambient light. This ship was alive. Afraid to move, I had been sitting in a pool of some sort of liquid for a long time. I decided that the only way out of this ordeal was to start facing it head-on. I needed an account of my surroundings, no matter how abhorrent the findings. I began thrashing around in the noxious liquid bath, but didn't last long as the smell became overwhelming. It was an aqua vita of death. I imagined the possibilities of where this liquid came from while cursing my overactive imagination. Visions of rotting and liquefied dead bodies permeated my thoughts, and I felt a sudden impulse to vomit but held back. I didn't want to add to the revolting cocktail I was already simmering in. Slow down, Nate, I thought as I began sweeping in a deliberate and methodical manner. I knew better. Getting angry and thrashing around would only garner unwanted alien attention. I was sifting and tossing fragments of things in the liquid, clearing sections in semicircle patterns, trying not to think about it too deeply. Once finished with one section, I would place my hands on the floor of the ship and pull my knees up to match. I was in search of something that could help me escape, or at least benefit me with information. To my dismay and horror, I only found more body parts. Vaguely identifiable, but distinctly human, I was finding what felt like ears, fingers, teeth. There were larger body parts as well, complete hands, sections of legs and arms. If there was a hell, a real physical place where nightmares are manufactured, this was it. I don't know how I found the strength to filter through this pool of desecration, but I saw little choice in the matter. Here I was, a 29-year-old programmer from a town no one's heard of, on an alien mothership sifting through human remains and other unmentionables. I was of little consequence to the world at large. I wasn't special in any way. Sure, I was smart, but merely as rare as a baker's dozen. That is, if the dozen in question were geniuses. Back on Earth, I couldn't believe I was saying that, there were hundreds of thousands of people just like me. Why me? Why did I have to end up with this damn code? But I knew I could either choose to collapse inward and give up, or I could fight on. To me, the answer was as obvious as continuing to breathe. I needed to fight. This story would end one day, but how it ended would be up to me, or at least I hoped. The aliens had mentioned my father, but why? The Arbiter, they called him. An arbiter of what? Roe had told me that my father was not dead. Further confirmation of this had just come from them, the most unlikely source. I knew better than to fully believe what they said, but it did give me a twinkling of hope. I had so many questions, but I doubted I would soon discover the answers to them. I couldn't bring myself to fully engage in this medieval act, so I allowed my mind to drift off as I waded through the filth. As I lamented on my situation, my hand stumbled over a large object. A hand. No, wait. A foot. Disgusting, I breathed. I grabbed it so I could toss it behind me and clear the section, but just then it pulled back from me, and I heard a yelp mixed with a moan. Someone or something belonged to that foot. I lurched backward and hit a wall. Luminescent waves of light jetted out from where I impacted the wall, then quickly dissipated into the blackness. Hello? I managed to utter. More moans. I sat there for a moment, quiet and too scared to do anything. My mind reeled with frightening possibilities. Was it human? Was it dangerous? After several intense moments, I mobilized all the courage I had left in me. In as calm a voice that I could produce, I said, "It's okay, I'm not going to hurt you." And I hope you don't intend to cause me harm either. Some movement and splashing followed, then more moans. I couldn't tell if this was in response to my question or if they were moans of pain. It sounded like a little bit of both. Are you okay? I heard scattering and then silence. I continued to ask simple questions, but got no further responses. What seemed like hours went by, and neither I nor the thing across from me made a noise. I took this as a good sign. Whatever it was, it didn't seem to want to harm me, and maybe it was even a little afraid of me. I found as comfortable of a spot as I could amongst the body parts and liquid death, and sat leaning against the wall. The lights emanating from my pressure against the wall might have been quite a lovely sight if I didn't know it was of an evil source. I couldn't help but think of that phrase, if these walls could talk. I was very glad they couldn't. Just as I began to feel the greed of sleep overtaking the arousing power of fear, a roaring noise trumpeted in our room, or cell if that's what it was. Like a ship's horn, but uniquely more ominous in tone. Then, the whooshing sound of rushing liquid began to surface with the already deafening horn blast. I quickly jumped to my feet, trying to get ready for anything. Ready to fight if necessary. Across from me, I heard sloshing and movement. It was on the move. It was headed right for me.